Good morning and good evening, all of you. Welcome to Growthcast 2020. We are officially in Growthcast 2020. So it's been a month where we are talking about Growthcast and leadership conference, and we are officially here. Welcome each one of you, and I'm so excited. It's my honor and it's my privilege to host this wonderful Growthcast 2020. Welcome all of you to this show, and wherever you're joining from, whichever part of the world, please comment saying that where from which location you're joining. Today we are going to be here for treat. Basically, we are here for a treat, and I'm joining with me Venkatesh Bagayat, my friend, partner, leadership expert, and growth practitioner.
Good morning,
Uh,
everyone.
Today we are first day we are talking about entrepreneur leadership, and mainly we are talking about common leadership principles for corporate leaders and entrepreneurs. And let's welcome our chief guest, managing director of Energy Tech Global, managing committee member of Hyderabad Software Enterprise Association, our good friend, leadership author, and leadership evangelist, Kishore Bora, to our Growthcast 2020.
Welcome, Kishore. Good morning.
Thank you.
Welcome, Kishore. Yeah. So we know you as a friend, Kishore, and we know as a leadership partner. We discuss a lot about leadership, and you are a leadership expert for more than 20 years, and you are leading a team of 150 plus software professionals in Hyderabad. Um, and every time when we talk about leadership, there's a one question goes in our mind: why this leadership, or what is this leadership? Is some questions about it. And before that, hope you and your family are fine and safe during unprecedented times like this. And we know you basically, but our audience wants to know you, who you are, and what's your leadership journey. Would you please introduce yourself to our audience, Kishore?
Good morning, Dr. Shiva. Good morning, Venkat. Thank you for inviting me for Growthcast 2020. My name is Kishore Bora, and I've done dual masters in physics and energy systems with gold medals. I'm a father of two boys, husband to a superwoman, a lecturer turned software engineer, now managing director of an IT company based out of Hyderabad, India. We are a team of close to 150 developers, testers, customer experience, and DevOps engineers. We are in the business of building enterprise software solutions for global energy markets. And our solutions are being used by our group companies in New Zealand and Australia to offer the best energy experience to our customers. Wow. I'm also a leadership evangelist and a certified member of John Maxwell team. And I know you and Venkat personally, so you both are also John Maxwell certified team members. John Maxwell team is a group of Maxwell certified coaches, trainers, speakers, and professionals who are accelerating the personal and professional growth to individuals, organizations, and companies worldwide. And I've recently been elected as the managing committee member of Hyderabad Software Enterprises Association. And as you know, that Hyderabad has got more than 1,500 plus IT companies, and then nearly 600,000 plus staff are having direct employment in IT industry. I'm also an author, and after having 20 plus years of corporate experience, now I shared my insights on how to accelerate your personal and professional growth in my upcoming book, Don't Go. So that's in precise, in brief about me, Shiva.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful.
It's
So
our pleasure, Kishore.
you're bringing such a like a rich experience of leadership to this the audience and the Growthcast leaders, and amazing to know about your personal life also. We are here for treat, guys. I think just stay tuned with us, and we are going to have a treat for next 25 minutes. Kishore, we know that we talk a lot about leadership, and we talk about challenges of leadership in corporate world and in our family, in our personal life also. My question today, the first question, because I heard this question a lot of times. The question goes like this: why do we think leadership is needed in one's life? Why do we think leadership is needed in one's life, either in corporate life or in personal life? So what's your thoughts, Kishore, on that?
Yeah, thank you, Shiva. So let me begin by saying that some people are born with leadership leanings. What I mean by that is some people are born with gifts, traits, and talents. You put them in any situation with any group of people, within no time they will emerge as leaders. I'm sure you might have had this experience of observing such people. And these are what I call as born leaders. But the question is, what if you and I are not having any of those gifts, any of those talents, or any of those traits?
Yeah.
Do we still stand a chance to become a great leader whom others would admire and follow? Right? But interestingly, the answer is yes.
Yes.
And let me share my experience. Whenever I'm asked to speak on leadership to a group of people, I generally begin my interaction with them by asking a simple question. I'll ask them, can you please raise your hand if you think you are a leader? I know what happens. Some people will raise their hand. Some people will wait for others to take the lead. And some of them are not sure whether they are a leader or not. And the rest will wait for me to repeat the question.
Oh.
And I know it's funny, but years ago, even I used to have the similar confusion. Am I a leader? Can I become a leader whom others would admire and follow? But you know what, Shiva? And when I joined John Maxwell team and started studying leadership, then my level of awareness started increasing. For the first time in my life, I learned that leadership is not about titles. It's all about influence. In fact, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less.
Beautiful.
It could be with your colleagues in your office, or with your family, with your friends, in your neighborhood, in your classroom, wherever it is. Leadership is all about influence. If you are someone who is shedding influence and people are looking at you, then it doesn't matter whether you have title or not. You can consider that you are a leader. And if you have a title, then it is actually a positional leadership. It's actually the entry-level leadership. If you are a positional leader, people will follow you because they have to. In any corporate office or any organization, if you've got a title and if you've got a set of people, reporting to you, and they have to listen to you, that's the only way that they will get their salary.
They have
Right?
to.
But what is interesting is there is a world of difference between following someone because you have to versus following someone because you want to.
Wow.
This is where influence comes into picture. If you are really shedding your influence and people are looking up to you, then you don't need to use your title. People would follow you because of who you are, what you are bringing to the table, and how you are genuinely adding value to others' life. So the biggest revelation in my life is when I realized that true leadership cannot be awarded, appointed, or assigned. It comes only from influence, and that cannot be mandated, and it should be earned. You can earn that leadership position, and the only thing title can buy you is some little time. But you have to really use the title to increase your influence. I'm repeating this. You should use your title to increase your influence with others.
Great.
Right? Instead of undermining your title. And let me tell you this, I'm actually now working as an executive in a $100 million corporate group. Whenever we recruit people into senior positions, one of the parameters that we see is voluntary experience. He or she is having any volunteer experience, or experience of leading a team of volunteers. You may wonder, why do we ask for any volunteer experience or leading a group of volunteers? Because leading a group of volunteers is considered to be the greatest form of leadership. Let me tell you how. Because you have no position, right? There's no concept of job. Therefore, the only way that you will establish yourself as a leader is only through influence. That's why I wouldn't hesitate to say any number of times, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And leading a group of volunteers is considered to be the highest form of leadership.
Beautiful.
And I'll conclude by saying, if you really want to excel as a leader anywhere, in your corporate life or in your personal life, in society, wherever, if you wanted to excel as a leader, you need to focus on 5 skill sets. You should you should have the ability to communicate, ability to connect, ability to network, ability to lead, and ability to sell your views and ideas. And let me repeat it again: ability to communicate, ability to connect, ability to network, ability to lead, and ability to sell your views and ideas. If you master them, then no one can stop you in crafting yourself to be a leader by design. You may not be a born leader, but if you continuously work on those traits, those skills, then you can establish yourself as a leader. And let me remind everyone who is listening to this that a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And you'd never want to be like a tour guide. You wanted to be like a travel agent, which means, unless you possess that skill set, unless, you have the ability to be able to add value to others, you can't go on saying that you are a true leader. And another thing, in my 20 years of corporate life, what I realized was when leader gets better, everyone gets better.
That's
You
so.
don't have to know it all to be a great leader. You just need to be yourself. You would surprise to know, this is my personal experience, and I'm sure you would, you can also endorse to this. People would rather follow a leader who is always real than who is always right. And this is what my experience says, Shiva.
Amazing, amazing, Kishore, and it's mind-blowing stuff. And we are talking to real leader, guys, authentic real leader. Kishore has a rich 20 years of corporate experience, and
guys,
definitely, guys, yeah, who are watching, definitely you take a notes, and in the last 5 minutes, he has added such a tremendous value.
beautiful values.
Beautiful
I
value.
like that concept of the volunteers.
Yeah, yeah.
Leading a team of volunteers is really a challenge.
Yeah, it struck my mind saying that the two things. One is it's not about they have to follow, they want to follow.
They want to follow. Beautiful.
From have to want to, and also leading a team of volunteers where there is beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Thank you very much.
Communicate, connect, network, lead.
Yes, guys. It's mind-blowing stuff. Yeah. Yes, so basically, Kishore, when I move on to the conversation, I think I'm getting a lot of ideas now, but I know time is so short. Basically, we talk about in organizations, every corporate leader says that, you know what, everyone is important in my organization. So everyone means I always treat everyone as an important aspect of my organization. So, bro, Kishore, like, would you think that whatever they're talking, the corporates are talking, are they put it in practice? Are they following those? So, what are the key? And also, I want to just put a follow-up question: what are the key aspects of common leadership which is needed? What's your thoughts about it?
Oh, that's a good one, Shiva. So it sounds so simple, right? When you say, is everyone in the organization is important? Yes, the answer is definitely yes. Everyone in the organization is very important. And do companies follow this? This is basically a common sense leadership strategy. Yes, companies do follow it. And at least I would say the most successful companies on this globe, they would definitely follow this principle. Unless you value people, unless you treat them that they matter, they are important, then you would not excel, as a business. So let me add, a few more thoughts into it. So I agree, and I'll definitely endorse the idea that every team member is important in the organization, which means every single person in a company is an important piece of the value chain. No matter which domain, which industry that you are in, if one of them do their part, it could be a team or a department or whatever it is, if they do their part wrong, the entire value chain feels the effect. That's why we say every person matters and is equally important to the overall function done in the company. So no person is insignificant or small in the process, and we all need each other. Everyone needs each other in any company. But the interesting thing is, sometimes in organization, you would also find people who would either feel that their position was the most important in the entire company, or the other way around, their role simply didn't matter. Anytime employees feel this way, I knew, and at least when it comes to my organization, I knew it was time for me to immediately intervene. But what my experience says is generally this happens in any company when people lack the understanding of what goes in other departments, other divisions, or other teams. Once if you have effective communication platform, if people know what's happening across the floor, across departments, divisions, teams, and then they will learn to appreciate each other. So everyone, definitely everyone, every member in the organization is important. But having said that, let me also add another dimension to it. Though every player has a value, but not every player has got equal value. This is what every company knows it. I'm a firm believer that organizations should say and do things that they believe. I've been working in corporate, as I said, for more than 20 years. And I know Dr. Shiva, you, and I know Venkat, and you're also working for different corporate companies. And we know that we are not good at everything, right? We are not good by ourselves. But if we do as a group, we are pretty damn amazing. Even when you look at your teams in your organization, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And the goal is not to fix one's vulnerability. The goal is to amplify our strength by surrounding people who can do what we cannot do. And that's why in any corporate, when they form teams, whether it is at executive level, board level, or or senior management level, or operational levels, we always formed in teams in such a way that they will complement each other. And that also shows the fact that everyone is very important, because we are trying to bring complementary strengths and amplify the overall outcome. So that's what we do. But another interesting thing is, because we are actually a product development company, as I said in the beginning, we are in the business of building enterprise software solutions for global energy markets using open source technology. What it means is, if you're a product development company or a knowledge intensive organization, then the more time once an employee spends with the organization, the more experienced they will become. I'm sure you will agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the amount of time spent in the organization tends to equal to wisdom. But the downside of it is, there is a downside to that. This is very interesting. The downside of it is, someone spends longer time. If someone spends a longer time in any organization, then there is a possibility that it erodes their awareness. In other words,
Wow.
organization, we tend to stop seeing problems and just start accepting them. This is very interesting.
That's deadly.
This is where a new member would be of incredible value for any organization. Let me expand on it. In our organization, when I recruit, I go to a lot of reputed colleges, universities, and then we recruit a lot of new team members every year. And when we go and recruit those team members, when we bring them into the organization, we tell them that you guys are really valuable to us in the. This is interesting, you see. We are telling them they are very, very valuable to us in the early days itself. You know why? Because they will never become more objective than they are soon after joining the organization.
Oh, wow.
That is why I tell them new team members often, at least in the first 45 days or so, they're going to be most objective before they start accepting things as they are. Right. So we want them to know that they are very valuable, and they can write down, they can question, they don't need to take anything on its face value. That's the best time. You can. So my point here is, organizations will not only benefit from seniors' experience, but they also gain from the rookie's fresh perspective. So this is where we say every member in the organization is important, and then every player has a value, but not every player has got equal value. As long as we maintain this balance, and we extract the wisdom of the seniors, and we also extract the fresh perspectives offered by this millennial generation, then the organizations would thrive. This is my personal experience, friends.
Whoa, that's awesome. That's amazing. So what it struck my mind, saying that when the person getting more and more experienced, he lost that awareness and he start accepting the problems as the problems. So on a second, the newbies, basically the new millennials, brings a fresh perspective. When we merge them together, when you collaborate them together as a team, the team makes a dream work. I think awesome stuff. Thank you. It's so powerful.
Beautifully yes. Said. I like the other point, guys. I mean, please hit likes and put your comments if you are really getting some value here. I know there's an immense value which Kishore is giving us, and we are learning a lot. Myself and Shiva, I think everyone is also learning a lot here. Please put your comments. So Kishore and Shiva, the thing which I liked is when we talked about the vulnerabilities. So organizational leadership is not to fix the vulnerabilities, but to amplify the strengths. That's so profound. That's so profound, right? I mean, not fix the vulnerabilities. I mean, we all are vulnerable. Organize a group of people, and everyone is vulnerable. I mean, not to fix the vulnerables, but we have strengths. Everyone has their own strengths. Every organization has strengths. Amplify the strengths. That's so profound insight, Kishore. Thanks for that. Very good. I mean, increasing the strengths. We talked about that. So I'm sure knowing you personally, knowing your journey, knowing your story from where you were and from where you are today, I'm pretty much sure, and I know very well. But leading a company of 150 people, or that a product-based company in a city like Hyderabad, where there are like close to 2,000 companies competing to each other's market, is not a piece of cake. And establishing and emerging as one of the topmost IT startups in that city is not an easy job. And I know. I mean, that's something which you have pulled up by yourself. I mean, we know that, but I'm pretty sure while doing that, you have gone through problems. It's not a piece of cake. Now, when it comes to problems or challenging times, like currently what we are facing, the COVID-19, isn't it? we all feel there is always a problem.
Yes.
Things might not work. Now the mode of interacting, collaborating is changing to virtual collaboration. And
Yeah.
we all talk about in-person and in office work. Those are more productive than remote or virtual meetings or virtual collaboration. But this is something which we don't know when it's going to stop. We don't know how long it's going to happen. So everyone is talking about the new normal.
Mhm.
Everyone is talking about the new normal. At the same time, everyone is talking about the negative aspects of it, or the problems which they can face. So the people today, many of us are staying in the present negative environment, thinking that this might not work, that will be a problem, this will be a problem because of the situations coming in. So what strategies and practices do you suggest? What practices and strategies do you suggest as an entrepreneur leader for us to shift from or move from this present negative to future positive?
That's a powerful question. That's a powerful question,
Yeah,
guys.
it is quite relevant to the current times. Yes, Venkat, I definitely agree with you when you use the words present negative to future positive. There's no doubt, Corona has changed the world of work once and forever.
Yeah.
Everyone is trying to navigate and adjust to the new normal and understand the future of work. No one knows how it's going to evolve, and I would say that there are actually the three aspects that we need to look at. We need to look at work, workplace, and workforce. And all three of them, work, workplace, and workforce, they're in the midst of this massive change because of the pandemic. And as I said, while no one knows exactly what this shift will ultimately look like, there's one positive thing that's already emerged. And especially, when I'm in India now, and I look at how work from home concept works here. And what really happened here is now the pandemic has changed the people's mindset and gave a feeling that yes, remote work does work. People can actually work from homes. And after decades of debate around the pros and cons of working remotely, now everyone realized that work from home is not as bad as companies and staff perceived it to be, at least from a country like India's perspective. It's not quite popular until COVID hit us. Now most of the companies last 2 months, they've changed their patterns, and they're left with no other option than shifting everything and asking people to work from home. And then slowly now they are returning to the workplace as well. So actually, one need to be flexible and start looking at changing the policies, practices as we go through these kind of known unknowns. And we never know what future holds. We have to deal with an unknown unknown as well, from known unknown to an unknown unknown as well. Having said that, whatever leadership strategies or best practices have worked earlier very well for any organization, in my opinion, they will still remain relevant. There won't be much of a huge drastic change. They will still remain relevant. Let me talk from Energy Tech, that's my company perspective. So at Energy Tech, and let me also tell you, that, Hyderabad, as I mentioned in the beginning, we have got about 1,500 plus IT companies, 600,000 plus people having direct employment. Then if you're really good, and in a market like this, you are a hot cake, you can, just like that, you can go and find good opportunities. So now to build a company like this within 5 years, and when I look back, my annual attrition rate is less than 4%. It tells me that something that we have been following, the leadership team here following, is really working very well. And let me tell you what we do. We do three things actually. We hire them right, we train them right, we treat them right. I repeat, we hire them right, we train them right, and we treat them right. And let me expand each one of them. What do I mean by hire them right? So you will definitely agree with me when I say that nothing is more important than whom we bring through the front door to work for our company. And one thing that we do is whenever we are recruiting people, we look for good attitude than aptitude. And I firmly believe, and I'm sure you would also agree, we don't, leaders don't build great business. We build people, then people will build the business, right? And that's why what we do is I constantly look for ways and means to improve the people who are working with me. When I have to recruit a senior position, or any of our teams needed to recruit a senior position, we look within our organization before looking outside, because that's the best way that you can guard your culture. So my suggestion to people listening to this is, if you have an opportunity, always look for hiring people from within into higher positions as much as possible, and that way you'll have a better hold on your work, your culture, right? And then easy to work with the people at senior level as well. And the another interesting that we do, Venkat, when we recruit the people, when we bring them into our office, when once the leadership team decides that he or she is the right fit and we can hire them, then we go and tell them, why don't you take a day or 2 days leave, come and be with us on the floor, sit with us, talk to anyone whom you like, and make sure that you are taking right decision, and you also feel that you are culturally a perfect fit to an organization like us. And this has
Wow.
really worked very well for us in the past.
That's something new which we learned. I mean, that's something for the first time I'm hearing that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really good. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's something which is I somehow sense that it's going to work and it will work. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you are saying.
Very unique approach.
Very
Definitely.
unique
Yeah,
approach.
yeah. And then moving on to the second point, that trying them right. Any organization will have their learning and development teams, and then they spend good amount of time making them understand the systems, processes, and the domain knowledge, and we put a lot of emphasis there, just like anyone else. But maybe we might go a little overboard, and then we have some accreditation, we create accreditation frameworks. And then you would be surprised to know, even if I recruit an executive manager or senior manager, he need to understand, go through the training, and need to take up the test and pass the accreditation course. But the interesting thing is, we create an environment where they won't get intimidated, they won't feel like someone is going to judge them just because of the outcome of that test, right? We create an environment for them, support for them in a way that they understand where the areas where they need to explore further, get support. And that's the kind of culture, if you are able to maintain that kind of a culture, and if you have the confidence to be able to ask an executive also who is crossing through the front door to be able to take up the test and understand the domain knowledge, that's the only way that you earn the respect of people, right? Unless if you don't know, you cannot go and guide them, and you cannot ask them to do things which you cannot do yourself. And you definitely want it to be a travel agent, not a tour guide. So that's what we do. And then the last point is, we treat them right. What do I mean by that? We want staff to realize that they really matter here in the organization, because of the way that they are treated, the way they are respected, or they are involved and listened to. And during my initial days, Venkat, the initial days of my leadership, I often used to wonder, how can I do that? Later, I learned that the best way to ensure people matter to us is just go and tell them. It's
Wow.
common sense, right?
That's so simple and
You love your wife, and you just tell her, and your life will get a lot better. You love your kids and parents, you just tell them. It's easy, right?
Yeah.
So I want to see, this is my motto, and this is working very well. Always, whenever you are putting a new process, new practice in your organization, think, is it going to help you to ensure that your staff are attending to office every morning, not because they have to, but because they want to.
they want to.
And if you could, always run it in the back of your mind. And I'm sure that no matter, what situation, whether it is COVID or, any unknown in future, and as long as you treat people as your valuable assets and you keep adding value to their lives while the organization is growing, and I'm sure that any organization would thrive.
My goodness. Oh,
My goodness.
great.
3 R's.
3 R's. Mm-hmm.
Hire right, train right, treat right.
Yeah.
Everything is right, nothing left. That's really true. I mean, these are very common. I mean, there are very simple things, small things which comes into mind, but many people, many organizations, many groups fail to understand this the right way. Again,
Exactly.
beautiful, Keshav. Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Yeah, basically, it's a common sense. When we called you for this session, you said, let me talk about common sense leadership principles. Now we are realizing common sense means, yes, it's so simple.
It's
so
really common sense.
So, what I understood from this viewers and audience who are watching also, I think by this time you got so much value, immense value from this program. What Kishore was talking about is in order to come out of this present negative to the shift to the future positive, be open basically. Okay, open to unlearn. So treat people so that they'll figure it out the process, and also hire them right, treat them right, and train them right. Oh my goodness. So it's such a beautiful and powerful insights. Move on to, because we are also look after the time basically. I know it's gold. So when we move on to this conversation, guys, all audience, Kishore, so we got a question saying that entrepreneur leaders or corporate leaders are their main aim is to like solve the problems and provide opportunities. Because so far in the show we talk about what is leadership, the key aspects of leadership, and how to move forward from current challenges. Now we are talking about it's all about solving problems and providing opportunities. So in that process, what we understand and also we've gone through is this promotion part, promotional aspects are the key cause for the workplace demotivation. Because
Yeah.
even I read many places also, I spoke to people like-minded groups. These promotions are main cause for the workplace demotivation. So what should work here? Like how do we, as a corporate leaders or entrepreneurs, create a win-win opportunity for employees and also to build a sustainable workplace so that we thrive, as you said, we thrive. So what's your thoughts on that, Kishore?
Beautiful
Yeah.
question.
So well said, Dr. Shiva. I know that when someone won't get promotion, that's definitely going to play a lot on the back of their mind, and they get demotivated. It's a common pattern that we observe across organizations. But let me take a step back and give a different perspective. And as you rightly mentioned in your question, every business is a solution to a problem. In other words, every organization in the world is trying to solve a problem. What I mean by that is, at its core, even entrepreneurship is all about solving problems. And most of the time, in addition to the big or small problems that each organization is trying to solve, they will also have a lot of internal problems. What I mean by internal problems: overstaffing, understaffing, short on capital, short on time, lawsuits, customer service, people problems, cash flows, etc. Lots of stuff, right? There's no end to it. And now the question is, can you acquire the mindset to solve the problem in your organization?
Hmm.
In fact, I will go one step ahead and say, can you acquire the mindset to solve the problem in your organization like a boss? What's your title? Maybe software consultant, customer experience associate, brand manager, sales director, marketing manager,
Mhm.
CIO, CEO, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what your title is. But let me ask this question. Can you work on expanding your title to include chief problem solver,
Oh,
chief roadblock unblocker?
right.
What I am going leading to you is, are you ready to take ownership without directive?
Wow.
Why? Ownership is at the core of leadership. If you and I are someone who is always wanting directions to operate, then we will remain as a follower, and we can never be a leader. Then why are you getting demotivated, and why are you worrying about your next title? You should be willing to take the initiative without directive. And what I learned over the years is, giving excellence is a habit, giving an excuse is also a habit.
Oh,
What
yeah.
we need to do is, we should stop giving excuses and start giving excellence.
Wow.
We don't need to remain as an accountant, as an HR, as a entry level employee or a technical manager in any organization that we are currently working for. What we need to understand is, every organization has got these open titles called chief problem solver, chief roadblock unblocker. As long as, if you're really, don't worry about titles. If you're really good at what you're doing, and if you see a problem, jump, go and help people, add value to them, add value to the organization. I told you in the beginning, in my beginning remarks, leadership is not about titles, it's about influence. And if you are shedding your influence, if you are adding a lot of value to the organization, why do you wait for others to give the title to you? Right? So
Yes.
you should never hesitate to upskill yourself, make yourself more valuable, and expand your title for everyone to see yourself as a CPS or a chief roadblock unblocker. I'll just add one more dimension to this. Actually, what happens is, we all work for corporates, and we know it very well. The value that you and I bring to our organization is the reflection of the problem that you and I can solve. And of course, our remuneration is also directly proportional to that, right? I repeat, the value that you bring to your organization is a reflection of the problem that you solve. And accordingly, you will be rewarded as well. Let me share this example. One of my friend, he used to work in a departmental store. And like any other organization, the store also had a lot of internal problems. Whenever, one simple problem, let me talk about one simple problem. Whenever a customer would go and buy a piece of clothing, then they will come to the cashier. they would take a coat hanger and they'll give it to him, and he will take the coat out of it and throw it into the hanger box. And there are 5 different types of hangers in the store, and this is the problem definition. And what my friend was responsible to do, my friend was responsible to untangle those coat hangers, and you need to put them into different boxes so that they can be reused. So that's his problem definition. So you would immediately now say this is relatively a straightforward problem, right? You don't need a master's degree, you don't need a bachelor's degree to qualify to solve this problem. And therefore, my friend's compensation reflected the simplicity of the problem that he solved. Wow. And you would agree with that, right? And imagine after a few years, what happened was I read in the newspaper that the same departmental store was closed due to low profitability. And imagine if my friend would have solved this issue and made the store to gain profits, then I would tell you all day long that my friend should be compensated a lot of money. Why? Because he's the chief problem solver for that store, right?
Yeah.
Because he solved a big problem. So that's leads to my point. The value that you bring is a reflection of the problems that you solve. And if you wanted to make more significant difference in your organization, upskill yourself to solve bigger problems. Don't get stuck with demotivation just because someone has not given you a title. They can't stop you shedding your influence. They can't stop you growing big on a daily basis, right? Upskilling yourself. And what you always need to keep in your mind, every organization on this globe has got these open positions called chief problem solver or chief roadblock unblocker. I hope I have answered your question, Dr. Shiva.
Yes,
beautiful.
Mind blowing. I think it's really gold, and I think this is a real. I think we are talking to the leadership author, leadership, the proven corporate leader. I think mind blowing.
I'm really excited with these new roles. I would say CPS and chief roadblock unblockers. I would rather, in my organization, I would rather suffix or prefix this CPS or CRS with all these designations.
Exactly.
It's how you create that awareness. You're just not a consultant. You're just not a business analyst. You are a business analyst along with chief problem solver. Prefix or suffix. I would really love to do that.
Last 30 minutes, we are really talking about leadership. Is not about position, not about title. It's about influence. It's about adding value. It's about solving problems. It's about creating opportunities. My goodness, what I
have taken some notes I can share.
Great it is. And thank you, Kishore, for adding such an immense value for the community, for all of us. Like, we are learning from it. And thank you for your time. And guys, that's all for today, and many more coming. And thanks a lot. We learned a lot, and hope all of you who are watching this show, who are going to watch offline, you're going to like this show, you're going to like it, and I'm going to take in notes and apply it. That's very important. Apply it so that when we come back tomorrow, we are coming back with a altogether different leader, the leader in health and expert, health and fitness thing. We are coming up with Dr. Viju Sinha tomorrow morning at the same time, 7:30 a.m. And Kishore, bro, thank you, and thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity, both of you.
Thank you very much. It was
Thank you.
We enjoyed.
It was, I should tell you, it was my first Facebook Live, and you made it a memorable experience for me. Thank you very much.
Wow, we learned a lot, and I think like our viewers, our people who are watching this live, they definitely felt that the principles were really of very common sense. That's what we want to bring, the value, think and provoke those thoughts. Yep. Thank you very much, Kishore.
Thank you. Have a good day. Yeah. Bye.
Growth matters. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow again.
Again. Yeah. Bye. Thank you. Both of you.